G'day, this is Captainoob and this is the Varmint rifle. This is a standalone weapon added to Fallout 4, which you all know comes from New Vegas. This is one of the first rifles you get in the New Vegas game, and it's a pretty memorable one at that. So getting into these attachments here, these receivers go all the way up to calibrated powerful, no advanced receiver for this unfortunately, but as you can tell it follows the same sort of beats as a hunting rifle would. Next up, we've got, for the barrels, we've got either a short one or a long one. The long one just increases your range and accuracy, pretty simple. And for the magazines, you can have a range of different ones, standard to large, and that'll give you better ammo capacity chucking on the large one, so there's no reason why you wouldn't want to do that. Next up, for the sights here, you've got the reflex sights here, which are reminiscent of the combat rifle, but if you get into the scopes, you can actually tell that's an external, or it's an asset that is native to the Varmint rifle back in the New Vegas. So there you go, you can make this look even more genuine with that little scope on, so we'll go ahead and chuck on a short scope there, why not. And for the muzzle, you get a muzzle brake or a suppressor if you feel like it, so we'll definitely chuck a suppressor there for better damage. And you can put tape on the stock if you like, but I'm not going to. And you can change the camo of this weapon if you feel like it, so all of these look pretty neat actually. We'll go for the winter finish because I feel like that looks kind of cool. And of course you've got a legendary effect here if you feel like it's not quite doing it for you. So there you have it, this is our Varmint rifle that we'll use in Gunner's Plaza, so let's get to it. Alright, so here we are in Gunner's Plaza as per usual. Let's get stuck into some of these gunners and see what this thing can do. Now with the damage card of only 207, I don't actually expect this thing to do that much damage. Obviously, I don't think it'll perform quite as good as we'd like it to, but we'll persevere anyway. Yeah, we can't even one-shot that gunner, unfortunately. But we've got a suppressor on, so we should be able to get lots and lots of good sneak attack criticals with this. And as long as we're hidden, we'll do well with this. So we've got a mag capacity of 10 here, which is good. And the camo looks all nice and all of that, but unfortunately, you're not actually able to recreate the rat slayer with the textures in this mod, so that's upsetting. But as you can tell here, we've got reload animations and rechambering, which are really neat, so definitely good on that. But if we slip into third person here, I'll wait till I have a reload. You can tell that wow, that's really bad hitboxes, Bethesda. Okay, we got him this time. That's good. Yeah, if we switch to third person here, you can see that the reload animation is just the same as a standard hunting rifle, but I'm not really too disappointed about that. I mean, they're pretty much the same, and it's not like you'll be examining the weapon as close as you would in third person anyway. So with the scope on this, as you can tell, we are able to get the knockdowns on it, which is incredibly useful for making sure this legendary gunner doesn't shoot at us with a massive gun, but she did anyway, and it didn't do a lot of damage, interestingly enough. Alright, we'll finish her off with a little bit of VATS gameplay there. And there you go, there's that reload again in third person, on the wrong side of the weapon. So I haven't actually seen any sort of right bolt hunting rifle animations in third person, but I'm guessing as this game gets further into its life cycle or dead life cycle, we might actually see sort of animations like that. So we'll go ahead and scope in here and try to take out this dude. And as you can tell, we are not doing too much damage when they are when they have detected us. So in order to do a little bit more damage, we've gone ahead and just entered VATS here. As you can tell, we get a decent amount of shots per VATS, but it's nothing too spectacular. But fortunately for me, I've got myself a backup. There we go, there it is. It took a while for it to whip out, but yeah, we've got a backup Varmint rifle with a reflex sight instead, and using that, we'll be able to get lots more shots in VATS. So I'm pretty sure that is the way we want to play this thing. Now, part of the reason why I didn't expect this thing to be spectacular is because it was just it's a starter weapon in New Vegas, so if I was shooting low-level raiders with this, it'd be doing fine, but yeah, this is taking on high-tier gunners, so it's going to be underperforming, but it doesn't detract from the fact that I'm still enjoying it regardless. I quite like the Varmint rifle. Although you can't get Rat Slayer with this mod, I'm still enjoying it nonetheless. Okay, yep. We're not getting sneak attack criticals even though we haven't been detected for some reason. That's better. Yeah, not doing too well here. Maybe if we go for the head we'll see a little bit more success, but kind of hard to hit all the way out here with a reflex sight, so we'll just persevere with this. See if we can't use VATS a little bit just to even the odds a little bit. We'll go ahead and crit you. Oh, that was only a basic Mark 1 turret. Wasn't entirely necessary, but we'll go ahead and peek around the corner and fire. Yeah, that's one of the ways you can do this. Interestingly, didn't crank the bolt that time. Alright, so we took out one gunner with 3 consecutive sneak attack crits. So yeah, this is probably the way you do it. And yeah, we're hitting them a little bit harder from this range, so the range isn't too great on this, I would believe. You get a crit because you're nice and close. We don't kill you just yet. Does about 500 damage, which is pretty respectable. If you are playing this on a lesser difficulty, you'll definitely see more success, because very hard, what that does is just basically gives you a 50% damage penalty. And what the hell are you looking at, gunner? Okay, the sneak is overpowered. They should have seen me, but they haven't. So I'm exploiting bad Bethesda game design, but they're exploiting me. Very hard is a cheap difficulty. Making enemies tougher for no difficulties is stupid. The way they did it in previous games was better. They just did more damage to you, but it had the same sort of health, so you could actually still kick ass with a rifle of low sort of level for a little bit longer than you would in the Fallout 4 game. So yeah, you could probably take a hunting rifle into the end game, but in this one, nah, not so much. Alright, so with a sneak attack critical that close, we did about 1k damage, which is nice. So yeah, this thing, with the short barrel, it does lose its range quite a bit, so not the best thing for this. We might as well, oh, they've got anti-tank rifles. Whip out our scoped one again, and we'll try to get another hit on you. Okay, we need to reload this before we shoot some more, and they like to sort of stop and sit behind covers, and it's actually really hard to hit them when they're doing that, and the screen shake isn't making it easier. I need to uninstall this anti-tank gun mod because it is making this overly tedious. Oh, everyone's got them. The gunners really don't like me today. I've come into this situation heavily outgunned, I think. Alright, you go down, and you know what, we'll come out of sneaky mode here, and we'll just try to finish off these last 2 gunners whilst gaining some crits back. Not too much else I can say about the performance of this thing, other than if you really want it to be better at this point, yeah, you'd go for a legendary effect, which I may very well do for Swan, because obviously with the sneak attack criticals dealing like, I don't know, a little bit more damage than what is listed on the thing. Granted, we are in very hard, and again, got that 50% damage penalty. Yes, remember to reload Bridget, that's a good idea. And yeah, we're going to definitely chuck a legendary effect on this thing before we take on Swan, because I don't think she's going to cut it. But there you have it, that was the Varmint rifle against high tier gunners, and it's the performance is satisfactory, knowing how this thing is a low tier weapon anyway. But yeah, compared to other weapons that are already in the game, yeah, the assault rifle on its own is going to outperform this. So if you really like the Varmint rifle, then you can go ahead and get this, but we'll move on to Swan and test it some more now. This is where it gets a little bit difficult for me choosing which legendary effect to put onto it. So unlike sort of fast firing weapons, none of the furious or explosive or wounding ones isn't going to be good, and since it's not exceptionally high damaging, instigating won't be too good. So yeah, it's a little bit hard to make this thing actually sort of perform to actually meet the task of Swan. So instead of chucking on some basic legendary effect that we'll find in the vanilla game, we'll go ahead and chuck on some of my legendary effects that I have created. And we'll go ahead and chuck on snipers wherever it is. There we go. 3 times damage but lowers damage resistance. So we're going to have to make sure that we are definitely hidden from Swan as we're taking them out. And that'll probably boost this thing to have a little bit more acceptable damage. Let's go and test that now, shall we? Righto, so there's Swan over there. We've got this thing fitted with the sniper's effect, so we'll get this thing reloaded, and then we'll get stuck into him right here. So we'll just start off in VATS a little bit, and as you can tell there, we are definitely doing much better damage there. So with that 3 times damage multiplier, along with all the sneak multipliers, you can have this thing do, okay, I think this is a little bit too much, but yeah, you can make this thing do adequate damage. And chances are, if we get hit by the bloke, we are going to die a very painful, horrible death, because he is quite stronger now that we're taking extra damage, because that is what this legendary effect does. Now that he's coming towards me, doing his weird shuffle thing, we've got a little bit more resistance now, so I will keep on shooting him, and we'll finish him off nice and quickly. I think we'll just stay nice and hidden throughout this entire confrontation, so that's good. Although I do want to sort of let him hit me once just to see how much more damage I'd take. Okay, not that much. Maybe I need to tweak that. Anyway, that's probably enough messing around with Swan. We're doing a little bit better damage with without all of that sneak attack critical nonsense, but we'll do one more critical just to finish him off all dramatic style, and then we'll quickly back away from his falling corpse. There we go. So I think that you get the sort of idea about this weapon. That was the Varmint rifle, and while it is a low tier weapon for the early game, you could sort of call this a novelty weapon, I suppose, in Fallout 4. Maybe when that time where Fallout 4 New Vegas mod rolls around, I'll see more use out of this, but for now I think I'll leave it on the shelves and never use it again, I think. But yeah, if you'd like to see this weapon in your game, be sure to check out the description. I recommend this one to anyone who plays on lesser difficulties anyway, because you'll find yourself doing more damage with it, because the obligatory difficulty stuff doesn't really yeah, it doesn't really affect you that way. So yeah, it's a pretty good weapon overall. Great presentation, good animations and all of that, so highly recommended if you're a fan of it or play on less than very hard difficulty. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys.